Welcome. I am Lauren Denise, and this is my channel. So, this week I've been thinking a lot around trauma informed care, and particularly because I do readings and a lot of things can come up in a session. But what I'm also recognizing is that all of us are impacted by trauma in some kind of way. And so either we hold trauma, we've experienced trauma, or as a collective, we are all constantly processing trauma because we are all connected and no one lives in a vacuum. So as I'm doing a little bit of researching, and to be honest, I'm researching because I want to try to find some kind of course that's geared toward just everyday people being able to have some kind of baseline understanding of trauma informed care. I see a lot of things for child advocacy and a lot of things for healthcare professionals, but I really want something that's just like, if you are a mediator, what does it look like to kind of have that as part of your practice? But the more I started to research it, the more I'm starting to think like in this world that we're in, we should really all kind of have some baseline understanding of trauma informed care, just to be able to care and commune with each other in a more safe environment. And so I'm going to quickly read the definition that I found on trauma informed care, just for people who are kind of new to it. So, trauma informed care is an approach to healthcare that recognizes the widespread impact of trauma on a person's health and well being. It shifts the focus from what is wrong with you to what happened to you by avoiding re traumatization and creating physical and emotional safety for individuals. Key principles include ensuring physical and psychological safety, building trust, promoting transparency, and empowering survivors by building on their strengths. And to that, I also want to add maybe something around privacy as you kind of create that safe environment. But I think this is so important because everyone is dealing with something. And it's something I think we all have to acknowledge. I think it's pretty easy for us to write off someone's behavior as that person just being that person. But the reality is, traumatized people, we should expect them to act with some kind of degree of dysfunction. Of course, like, boundaries are in place. We shouldn't allow someone to just harm us because they've gone through something. But we should expect that people may act a certain way or do something eventually. And so having some kind of framework that takes it away from that person just being a bad person to something could have happened to that person, at least helps us to have compassion in the moment, even if the safest thing for us to do is to create distance between us and that person. But then, too, also for our relationships with ourselves. And so I know for myself at the beginning of my healing journey, and not as much now, but definitely, I would say not that long ago, I was very hard on myself for certain things and not being able to feel like I've gotten to my personal milestones. And my default kind of setting is, what's wrong with me? Why can't I do this? And it took me a minute to be able to give that compassion to myself of like, what happened to me? How do we go back and start to unearth those things that, you know, I took on, or maybe I believed about myself that wasn't true, that is now causing this behavior. And so just doing my own research, there are some books out there that people can utilize. I know The Body Keeps the Score is a very popular one. I also know it's a very controversial one. But I do think, like, as a collective, this should be the place that we're headed. I was listening to someone talk about, like, how do we take care of ourselves when there's so much going on in the world? And one thing the speaker said is focus on creating a more compassionate world. So I know it's cliche of like, be the change you want to see, but how do we start to reimagine a world in which we are more compassionate with each other, as we see things that are happening in the world, how do we go, oh my God, that's so horrible? Come away from going, oh my God, that's so horrible. I can't believe this is happening, to what does it look like to create healing around the situation, and how do we create that space and advocate for that? That's an empowering place to be, because having so much coming at you, from social media, coming at you from the news, can really put us in this place of helplessness. And so, at least training our brain to think about, how do we fix this? How do we heal from this? What does someone in this situation need? Am I in a space to be able to create that? Is at least something that can give us a bit of hope for the future, and also action. So if we are actually in that space to be able to create action, it gives us a leeway and a line to do so, or maybe empower others. But we can't do any of that if we are not able to take care of ourselves and take care of each other in a loving way that's going to be impactful. So, hope it helps. Okay, bye.